Hello and welcome you guys to the post-game show for One Piece Chapter 1148 spoiler video. So today, we're going to be looking through the comment section and reading what everybody's talking about, looking at the most popular theories and all that good stuff. So with that being said, let's just hop into it. Okay, so first comment says, clicked faster than Scopper cutting Sommer's hand. Yeah, that was pretty damn fast, right? In the span of, I believe it was 2 panels, we see a cloud of dust running up the branch, and then the very next panel, Sommers is missing a hand. Absolutely insane, and what I love most about this is the fact that this is a speed feat. Strength, yeah, it's there, right? We got the cool hockey and everything going, that is cool, but I love that it's a speed feat specifically because Scopper is supposed to be the Roger Pirate equivalent to Sanji. Right, this is supposed to be Sanji in the future to some extent, right? It's not gonna be like an exact one-to-one, but I love seeing that he's fast and Sanji's fast. Like, that's one thing that they do share. And of course, the specialization in observation hockey too, right? Scopper was the only guy that could sense the God Knights here, and Sanji, as per Oda's SBS, is the observation specialist among the Straw Hats, which is cool. I'm glad Sanji has that specialization, but now that I think about it, I'm surprised Usopp isn't there too, right? I'm surprised Usopp isn't the observation master, but of course, he doesn't even know that he has it, right? He did it once back in Dressrosa, and then we just never touched it again. Hopefully Usopp gets some crazy observational feats here in Elbaph, but I don't know when or why or how he'd apply it. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. The comment right below says, watch it be the power of love. Gaban has it, Garp has it, and Sanji has it. Yeah, that could be it, right? The power of love is what causes the Holy Knights to take damage and to not regenerate. Wouldn't be awful. When you think about it, the power of music has been a thing for a long time now, with Brook and now with Sun God Nika Luffy. If you tell me that the power of love is also a tangible power thing, that's a weird way to put it, but you guys know what I mean. But if the power of love was real and you could actually use it in battle, I wouldn't be that surprised. This comment says, I would probably hold off before saying that they can't regenerate. This took place at the end of the chapter, and it took some of the elders time to regenerate. It didn't happen instantaneously. He might just regenerate next chapter. That is true. So in this chapter, of course, this comment was based off of the spoilers, but in this chapter, Sommers does say verbatim, it's not regenerating. Like, he looks at his hand and he says, whoa, it's not coming back, right? So I don't think he can regenerate base level, but maybe he can next chapter. I think there is a reality where you're right. Maybe he can regenerate, but it's just a lot slower. Maybe it's delayed, or maybe it's just temporarily disabled. We're not too sure, and this was not my idea, but I heard somebody say it in my live stream, and I thought it was a really cool idea. But they said, what if the way to stop the regeneration is to implant your own hockey into an opponent? Like, not Conquerors Hockey, not anything like that, but just plain hockey. Like, Scopper's hockey is in his hand, and that's what's stopping, like, the blood flow or the regeneration of the shadow power, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that's a bad idea, and maybe that is what makes it temporary. Like, after Scopper leaves or after the battle is done, then his powers do come back. But yeah, I am curious to see how next chapter will go. Of course, it would be interesting if this first hit, you know, the hand severance, was permanent, but the next hit that Scopper lands on him, the chest cut, does regenerate. Like, what if there's that line in the sand there? Like, oh, this one regenerates, that one doesn't, this one does, that one doesn't. Like, we just keep on going back and forth until we deduce ourselves how Scopper is actually doing it. I do think that'd be a fun little game that Oda could play there, but we'll see, we'll see. This comment says, Baby Gaban had the most refined observation hockey that it can detect the weakness or the core of regeneration of the God Knights. It's like Stone Hashira detecting Muzan's hearts so he can't regenerate. I like that. Another great example, you know, outside of Demon Slayer would be One Punch Man. In season 1 of One Punch Man, I don't know his name, but it was like one of the aliens that comes down in the final 2 episodes, and they regenerate endlessly until you destroy all their cores at the same time. And I think it was Atomic Samurai who fought him. So it could be like that. Like, there's certain cores in the body, and you just have to, like, specifically hit it. If you wanted a video game reference to this, it would be like Resident Evil, and how in Resident Evil, pretty much every zombie, for some reason, has, like, a glowing orange spot on their shoulder or their head, and you just have to hit it to kill them. That could be it. I think that would be a really cool idea. And would I want this to be the case? I think so. I think anything that doesn't involve Conquerors Hockey in my opinion, is very viable. Like, I know not everybody feels the same way, but whatever it is that it takes to damage the Holy Knights, I hope it isn't gatekept, right? If it's hockey based, sure, right? But Conquerors Hockey is a different level. Not everybody has Conquerors Hockey. You can't just learn Conquerors Hockey overnight, right? You're either born with it or you have ambitions of a king, depending on which translation you go with. So I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like it's kind of gatekeepy. So if it was just observation hockey, something you can train up, I'd enjoy it. I would enjoy that. And also base hockey too, like armament, fine by me. And I think the reason why I'm picky when it comes to this is because I want all of the Straw Hats to fight the God Knights. Maybe not all of them, maybe we'll exclude like one or two, you know, maybe you kick out Usopp or kick out Nami, whatever, right? But I do want Brook to get a Holy Knight matchup, Jimbei to get a Holy Knight matchup, you know, Frankie, Robin, etc. Like, I think it'd be really cool if all the Straw Hats went mano-a-mano against the Holy Knights. And if they just keep on regenerating unless you have Conquerors Hockey, that would kind of suck, because you can't get Conquerors Hockey if you're Jimbei or Frankie or Robin, right? So I do want them to be able to harm them permanently or temporarily even. So yeah, I hope it is just either base hockey or just something that everybody can obtain. All right, this comment says, my headcanon guess, the answer is not hockey at all. That stops the regeneration. Okay, got my attention, brother. It is to destroy or disrupt the Mark of the Abyss, that massive tattoo on Sommer's left arm dash hand that was stated to exist, which allows people to use the Abyss. Once that tattoo, parentheses, mark, is destroyed in some way, it severs the connection to the Abyss, which supplied their regeneration powers. Kind of like the Mark of the Beast, where those who have the mark in Revelation can buy and sell things, immortality, regen in One Piece. And those that do not, cannot buy or sell things. They are mortal, but their souls are intact so they can use Haki. I've yet to see any Gorosei or Holy Knight use Haki to protect their bodies. Maybe they do not know how, or can't after accepting the Mark of the Abyss. Maybe the Abyss gives their soul to Imu, which in turn provides Imu with their immortality. Anyone who says, well, Gunko got blown up and she can regenerate her top half, well, the mark can be in different places, such as under the bandages of her legs that are protected by massive, what appears to be, steel boots. Okay. I don't mind this. So the Mark of the Abyss is what lets them regenerate, and the minute the mark is damaged, they can't. I don't think that's bad. The one problem is that we don't know if this is even the Mark of the Abyss, right? The idea that the tattoo on Sommer's arm is the Mark of the Abyss is still in the realm of theories. We don't know for sure yet. Of course, we saw the tattoo the same chapter they talked about the Mark of the Abyss, so it could be just right there in front of us. But we have no direct correlation between the two yet. This is still just an idea, but I like it. I don't think it's that bad. One thing I will disagree with outright, though, like, cool idea, but one thing I will disagree with is the idea that they can't use Haki. Because so far, we've seen the Gorosei use armament Haki, we've seen them use Conquerors Haki, so the idea that they can't use Haki to protect their bodies, that feels odd. Like, yes, they can use all forms of Haki, but they can't protect themselves with Haki. Like, that right there just feels a little bit off. So, yeah, just erase this portion, and I'm totally with you, man. Maybe it is the Mark of the Abyss, and I feel like it's a very shonen thing to have a bunch of villains have the same marking. Not even villain groups. I guess main character groups do that too, right? But yeah, maybe the Mark of the Abyss is the thing, and maybe the mark is small. Maybe it's not even like the big tattoo that we see. Maybe it's like a small tattoo, like maybe on their chest, maybe on Sommer's hand specifically, because he doesn't chop off, Scopper doesn't chop off the full arm, he just chops off the hand. So maybe that's where it's at, but we will see. Like I said though, any idea that isn't just Conquerors Hockey, I'm totally cool with. This comment says, are we sure he bypassed his immortality? Since this wouldn't be the first time Holy Knights Gorosei got cut just to heal in the next chapter. I don't think if Scopper had just inflicted severe damage to Sommers, he would be so chatty to say that we haven't met in a while. So this is one thing that the spoilers got wrong. So in the spoilers, they said that Sommers is the one who says this, but when we get the chapter, we see that Scopper is actually the one who said, hey, long time no see. And then Sommers, on the other hand, is the one who's very shocked by Scopper's appearance. So I will say that Scopper did end up bypassing the immortality. And that is because of the dialogue that we get in the chapter, right? Where Sommers is like, hey, it's not coming back, which I still think is really funny. And one thing I'm curious about is to see whether or not Sommers will feel pain. Because the Gorsei, right? Well, the Gorsei bled, but none of them looked wounded. None of them were huffing and puffing and, you know, like, I can barely go on. That's never happened. And even Gunko, when she got blown up by Usopp, she kind of just stood there still, right? She kept on monologuing. And then Sommers in this chapter, after getting his hand cut off, he just kind of stared at it. So I wonder if they even feel pain. Like next chapter, when we see Sommers, I wonder if he's gonna be like, somebody get a doctor, like, or will he be very nonchalant? Like he simply stands back up, he looks down, and he's like, yep, that's gonna leave a mark. I wonder. You are just racist against giants. The main character has the same type of optimism. Luffy has the same type of optimism as Ronja. Yes, but the difference between Luffy and Ronja is that Luffy can back up that optimism by fighting his way through, by powering through his enemies. Ronja is crying, pleading, and kind of wishing for the best. They're not the same. And am I racist against giants? Yes, I am. I do have a lot of exceptions though, right? I think Dory and Brogy are okay. Ripley's great, Garrett is great, and that's pretty much it. Like, it's not just because Ronja is a giant that I dislike her. I just don't like the optimism that much, right? I'm not a big fan of it, brother. It's like a strawberry ice cream. That right there is how I view Ronja. I don't like strawberry ice cream. If people do, it's no big deal. You know, if you guys like Ronja, no biggie. But me personally, I just can't stand her. I still want to save her, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that Yarl agreed to save Ronja and the kids, but I just don't like Ronja. That's all it is. All it is. By the way, Anakin posted the part of the panel where they said Gaban used Conquerors. Gaban attacked Sommers, but they didn't post the whole thing, and it looked like regular Haki lightning. I don't think Gaban used Conquerors in this chapter, but maybe the full panel will confirm if he actually did or not. So, off rip, my takeaway is that I'm in the middle. You know, I am a fence sitter, and I think there's nothing wrong with sitting on the fence. Because, quite honestly, we don't know. Until Sommers or somebody else says, oh, that's Conquerors Hockey, we don't know for sure. All right, it goes back to like Kobe, right? Kobe back in Hachinosu, he had the black lightning, he had that impact, distancing, spacing, whatever you want to call it. And people were debating, like, is that Conquerors Hockey? Is it regular hockey? We don't know. And then, of course, back in Egghead, whenever Luffy would clash with somebody, you see the black lightning coming out, and it's like, wait, is that Luffy using Conquerors Hockey? Does the enemy have it? Like, it's so mixed, right? Until one of the characters comes out and says it for sure, it's always going to be speculation. But as far as this goes, like, if Scopper came out and said he had Conquerors, or if Sommers mentions it later, I don't think it'd be that big of a shocker. I mean, we're talking about the left wing of the Pirate King. Oh, sorry, the left hand of the Pirate King, right? The wing is Sanji, the hand is Scopper. So I don't think it'd be bad. You know, we're talking about one of the top characters in the verse, and I think it'd be pretty fitting. But I agree. I think it is too soon to call it. But if I had to pick a side, right? If I had to hop off the fence, I'd just say it's Conquerors. You know, I'd rather believe that than not. And I am holding a poll currently on the main channel, and I will be asking everybody just generally, do you think it's Conquerors? Do you think it's not? Because I do want to see, like, where people are in terms of votes, right? It's one thing, I always say this, it's one thing if I believe something, but it's another thing if the general community believes it as well. So I will throw up a poll, and we'll probably revisit this next week too. Oh, look at that. 2 Conqueror comments in a row. If Gaban had Conquerors Hockey, that's basically confirming Sanji will end up getting Conquerors Hockey at some point. And I do agree with this. If Gaban has it, I think Sanji will have it. Just because they are that parallel. They're not exactly one-to-one, but it would just make sense, right? I think it would just make sense. And also, it would be even cooler in hindsight because Oda separated Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji from the Sun Realm. You know, the 3 characters that have Conquerors Hockey. Sanji, of course, has not unlocked it yet. He'll be the last one to unlock it, which I think makes sense, right? Luffy, then Zoro, then Sanji. So yeah, I think that'd be awesome. And also, one reason why I would personally really enjoy Sanji getting Conquerors Hockey is because of the black fire lightning theory that's been floating around the community for quite some time. But I've always been on the boat as well that Sanji will eventually get black flames. We saw that he had red flames back in Innie's lobby. Wano, he got blue flames. I think his final form will be black lightning. And we all know that Conquerors Hockey lightning is black, so maybe that's it. Well, okay, Conquerors Hockey's like black and red, so that'd be kind of weird. But hey, anything to get Sanji back to his black leg epithet, I'm all for it. This comment says, it's the hand where you slash them. That's where the Gorosei mark - Emu circle is. Break it and you hurt him. Shanks, giving up his arm - mark purposefully, starts holding some water here. That's not bad. I like that. I'm trying to think. There was one anime where the character does have the mark on the hand. It's, was it Full Metal Alchemist? I think so. No, maybe it is. No, currently I'm thinking of Black Butler with Sebastian and how he has the mark on his hand. That wouldn't be bad, but that would also be really specific. I like the comment previously where they said that each character could have a mark on different parts of their body. Maybe Summers is on his hand, and then you have other characters who have it like maybe on their tongue, like Nitora from Bleach. You could also have people who have it on their chest, their shoulder, etc., right? If that's the case, though, I guess one drawback with this idea, now that I think about it, would be Summers being surprised that his hand isn't coming back. Because if the mark is on his hand and it's not regenerating, you'd think he would know that, right? In this chapter, he seemed really shocked, like, huh? Like, well, what's going on here? So I think that's the one thing, it's just Summers' reaction to being cut on the hand and it not coming back. But besides that, though, I do like the idea that the Mark of the Abyss is what stops them from regenerating, or maybe even a core of the Abyss, or whatever have you. I guess another reference we could bring into the mix would be Harry Potter? Sorry, I'm not the most well-versed person when it comes to Harry Potter lore, but my mind goes to Voldemort and how he has the Horcruxes, and those all contain a piece of his soul. Maybe it's the same way with the God Knights. Maybe the God Knights don't have, well, they do have the Mark of the Abyss, but maybe what stops them from regenerating or retains their power or connection to Emu would be an item on their person. Maybe it's Sommer's sword, for example. Maybe it's Gunko's hat, or Gunko's glasses, or, you know, goggles or whatever. I think that'd be interesting, but there's nothing really pointing towards that right now. And of course, that would not explain the whole regeneration thing, but I thought that was a fun idea. My 2 cents about this regeneration thing on the God Knights is that it has something to do with the mark they have. Okay, it looks like everybody's starting to coagulate at the mark being how their powers function. If the mark is unaltered, then the God Knights can regenerate every single time, no matter how you decapitate them. The best thing is to pass by the God Knight's regen is to damage, wound, or slice the part that has the mark, yes. Like I said, the only problem is that we don't know if the mark is on Sommer's hand-forearm. He has the tattoo, like I said, but we do not know if that tattoo is actually the Mark of the Abyss. And if it is, I forgot to say this, but if Sommer's tattoo is the Mark of the Abyss, it's massive, dude. It's like his entire arm. So all the other God Knights, man, they'd be tatted the hell up. Which kind of would be reminiscent of the Yakuza now that I think about it, which isn't a bad idea. Anyways, on to the next comment. They say, I have a theory that is backed up by the fact that Scopper turned a key into Haki. I think the shadow power is from Emu, but if Scopper attacks by infusing the impact of Haki, making the body of the enemy cased by Haki, then he negates regeneration. This is also why Zoro is going to wreck some of these Holy Knights if his Cursed Blade extends its Haki onto them. Yes, this goes back to what I said earlier, actually, where maybe Scopper is infusing a part of his Haki onto other people, right? Like he cut the hand and then boom, his Haki is like attached to his arm and that's why it can't come back. I like this idea. Of course, you worded it a little bit differently from mine, but we're on the same boat, brother. Mocal Jordan says, based on Sommer's consistent indifferent reaction to taking damage, I'm gonna guess that he's gonna recover next chapter. He only appears to not recover at the end of the chapter due to it setting up an epic moment for Scopper and because he was caught off guard. So I wonder if strong observation Haki is tied to the Holy Knights and the Gorosei's regeneration somehow. I like it. And of course, like this comment right here is more or less a combination of the previous comments we've read before. But I do like the idea that he could regenerate next chapter. Like maybe it's just temporary. Maybe if it is like Haki infusion into their body, it only lasts for a while. But now that we're bringing up strong observation Haki again, I just came up with the wacky idea based on Film Red. But what if Sommers and his soul or his real body exists within a different dimension. Okay, that sounds crazy. But back in Film Red, we saw, and not even just Film Red, but with Bluno and with Brûlé, they have these different dimensions that exist outside of reality due to their devil fruits. What if Sommers is the same way? What if all the Gorosei are the same way? Where their bodies are there, but their souls are in a different plane of existence? Which would be great for Brook, right? Maybe Brook could cut them in the underworld, and Brook could also permanently damage these guys. Maybe it's telling that Usopp was the one who attacked Gunko, and not Brook. But yeah, maybe that's it. And by using strong observation Haki, you can tap into that different dimension and wound them like that. And the reason I relate that to strong observation Haki would be because of what we saw with Usopp. Because in Film Red, we had this really cool but unexplained scene where Usopp was able to use observation Haki to connect with his dad, who was in, I think he was in a different dimension, right? I forgot, but like one group was in reality, the other group was in Uta's dream world, but observation Haki bridged the gap, and that is how they coordinated their attacks, and that's how they defeated Tot Musica in Film Red. Spoiler alert. I kind of just dropped all of that, but spoiler alert, right? But yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that strong observation Haki can connect you to different dimensions or the underworld, and boom, that is how he did it, because he attacked Sommers' soul and not just his body. J. Dot says, really hoping Chopper-Frankie get some fighting or action in the next few chapters. Not as likely, but hoping the God Knights don't try and kidnap Robin if they can't get the kids. Hoping for a Robin W since Wano. Would love to see her demon form, if not a Haki bloom. Either way, I'll let Oda cook. Been watching these since I want to say Whole Cake - beginning of Wano, and the progression of not only the story but your channel has been amazing. No more Sukiyaki. Okay, yeah, that's a long time viewer, man. Back when we were in Wano. Okay, so you guys, to the new viewers here, you're probably like, oh, Sai hates the Giants, he hates Ronja, he's a hater. Brother, I hate at least one person per arc. In Wano, I would not freaking shut up about Sukiyaki. Man, Sukiyaki just pissed me the off, man. That guy, that absolute loser of a lord. Honestly, if he wasn't mentoring Momonosuke right now, I would say he should have just died. But he is Momonosuke's one and only family member that is still alive. If you don't count Kinemon, right? Kinemon's like an honorary father, but Sukiyaki's actually blood. That is the one reason why I want him around. Just because I want Momonosuke to have actual blood family there. But besides that, man, Sukiyaki, dude, he's... yikes! So anyways, they go on and say, big supporter, man. Love the consistency - willingness to collab. Always some great content, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate all the kind words. And also, back to the OG comment, I do really hope that Chopper, Frankie get a fight. And not just them. Jinbei, Brook, Nami, Usopp. I want all the Straw Hats that are not in the monster trio to get a fight. All right, because we know that Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji are gonna mop the floor with a lot of people, but I think I want the lesser Straw Hats, which is a horrible way to put it, but I want the other Straw Hats to get fights too. All right, I would love it if Chopper, Frankie, and all these guys fought. And, going back to one of the first comments we talked about, that is why I do not want the regeneration stopping ability to be tied to Conquerors Hockey. I want Chopper to be able to get around it. I want Frankie to be able to get around it. I want Robin, Brook, Jinbei, Usopp. Now, I want them all to be able to fight God Knights. And maybe they don't win right away. That's fine by me. Maybe they lose and then they get stronger, then they fight them again. But either way, I want these guys to have a really good fight in the end. And I think them versus the God Knights would be really entertaining to watch. I'm gonna call it now. Scopper is using some new form of hockey that's based on love. Love is one of the strongest forms of willpower. Thank you for always keeping us updated, Sai. We appreciate you and everything you do for us, brother. Much love. Much love to you too, brother. So, as far as love hockey goes, I like it. Maybe this is going to be a Scopper Sanjay exclusive thing. And then, of course, Luffy and Zoro can have their own exclusive thing. But yeah, if this was the case, I'd be all for it. But since you mentioned new form, since you said this right here, that did trigger a piece of my brain. In a good way. Because ever since we saw the Gorosei transform into yokai, into mythological monsters, I am wondering if the God Knights can do the same. All right, of course, they already have devil fruits that have been explained, but the Gorosei are still mysteries, right? The Gorosei didn't have the devil fruit monikers that Sommers, Gunko, and all them have, right? So maybe there's a chance that Sommers, after being damaged in this chapter, will transform. Maybe he'll go all out against Scopper next week. Or if he doesn't transform, you know, let's throw that in the trash, right? My idea doesn't have to be right. It's just a guess. But what if Somers ends up whipping out more magical abilities? We saw the Abyss. We saw telepathy. We saw, I'm missing one, regeneration. What if there's another thing they can do? I think that'd be pretty sick. It could be like the new world version of the Rokushiki, the 6 powers that Cypherpole specializes in. Maybe the God Knights have their own variants of that, right? Maybe that's what the Abyss is. Maybe that's what the regeneration is, and etc. It's just their version of the 6 powers, but from the Void Century, fueled by magic. Scopper was at God Valley. Of course he would know how to hurt a God Knight. Yes, this is the argument I've been making since day one. It just makes so much sense, right? If anybody can do it on this island, it would be Scopper, and that's because he has that experience. And not just that, you know, this is like a tangent, but he also knows about the true history of the world. He's read the poneglyphs. He knows about Joy Boy. He knows about the 20 Kingdoms. He knows about Emu, most likely. So yeah, Scopper being able to damage these guys, that is a-okay, and it makes sense in my book. Either way though, that is where we're ending today's video. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really freaking appreciate you guys for joining me on the post-game show. Thank you for all the comments, because it makes these videos possible, right? If there was no comments, we wouldn't even be here. So thank you guys for that. We do have a break this week, so make sure to catch up on some rest in these next 7 days. And hopefully you take care until the next chapter and spoiler drops. I'll catch y'all later. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace out, brother. And also, real quick, gonna shield myself out, but if you want to follow me on the side, I also have a YouTube channel called Somnus, where I do anime reactions to One Piece, Black Butler, and anything else that's airing currently. I also have a gaming channel called Side Duck, where I just post random stuff over there, mainly gameplay and random YouTube reactions. And I also am starting to review Kagurabachi on there, I think. And I also stream every other night on Side Duck as well over on Twitch. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Stay safe. Peace out.